بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we are able to continue our study of logic. Tonight we will study, inshallah, two lessons. One is about further classifications or divisions of qadiyya, proposition, and second about the relation between two propositions. You remember we said that whenever we have a preposition or qadiyya, it can be hamliye or shartiye. It can be like a statement. You have mawdu and mahmud, subject and predicate. Or it can be shartiye, conditional. You say, if P, then Q. If this happens, another thing happens. Or if this happens, another thing doesn't happen. It can be their existence, which are conditional upon each other, or it can be existence of one of them and non-existence. There are different types. So we said any preposition is either hamliye or shartiye. Okay? We also said each of these two can be salebe or mujebe. Salebe means it's negative. Mujebe is affirmative. When you say A is B, this is mujebe. But if you say A is not B, this is salebe. Or if you say if P then Q, this is mujaba. But if you say it's not that if there is P there would be Q, this is salaba. So this is another classification which you are familiar with. Now we want to go further and see how logicians classify al-qadiyyat al-hamliya, statements. How they classify qadiyya hamliya. Not, of course, with two salib and mujib. That is already known. Another classification. They say sometimes subject or mawdu is one individual, what we call juz'iyya haqiqi, means something that cannot be applied to more than one. Like Zayd, Amr, Bakr. Yeah, different people, different things, not a concept which is universal. No, a particular person, a particular instance, case, individual, a city, for example. It can be a person, Zayd, Amr, Bakr. It can be, for example, a particular horse which has name, not about all the horses or, you know. So sometimes subject is juz'iyya haqiqi, means really one person, one particular instance. Sometimes it is kulli. It's a universal concept. For example, if I say Allama Tabatabai is the author of Bidayatul Hikmah. Subject is Allama Tabatabai, and this is one person. So this qadiyya is called qadiyya shakhsiyya. So remember this terminology. Qadiyya shakhsiyya. This is a proposition which is about one particular case. Okay? Allama Tabatabai. Or we say, for example, Rome is an ancient city. This is again قضية شخصية because Rome is named for one particular city. I am not talking about cities in general or about Western cities or Italian cities, ancient cities, because these are all universal. But I say Rome is one city. So this is called قضية شخصية. In history, in geography, we many times have this type of qadaya. But in physics, in chemistry, in maths, in many sciences, we don't deal with such qadaya. In philosophy, in theology, except if, for example, we are talking about God in particular. Because even in philosophy and theology, many times we talk about God as wajibul wujud, which is kulli. You remember? We said concept of wajibul wujud, necessary being, is kulli, although it has only one case. But the concept is kulli. So in most of the sciences, we don't deal with qadaya shakhsiyya. In history, geography, yes. If the subject of the proposition is kulli, it's a universal concept. Again here, it's divided into two parts. Sometimes the concept as concept is meant. So you are talking about this concept as such. Sometimes the concept is used as a way to reach its instances. Okay? So there are two ways. Sometimes فيه ينظر, sometimes به ينظر. It's like, sometimes you take a glass. Look at the glass. You look at the glass, the material, everything, the design. And sometimes you look at things through glass. Yeah? So glass for you is most of the time not something that independently you look at it. Even many times you may forget that you have your glasses on. Because the glass as such is not important. It's a way to look at things. But for the one who is buying glass, selling glass, making glass, the glass itself is important. Keeps looking at the glass. Maybe he doesn't need glass himself. Keeps looking at the glass. Okay? So these are two different ways of considering something. As an object or as a means. Yeah? Sometimes you look at something as an object, sometimes you look at something as a means to look at something else. We have this about dunya also. Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam says, Man absara ilayha, whoever looks at dunya, only focuses on dunya, a'amathu, dunya makes him blind. Because you are not able to see anything. If you are looking at dunya, then you cannot see anything. But man absara biha. But if you try to look using dunya, not looking at dunya and becoming focused on dunya, use dunya as a way to understand other things, basarathu. Quran will give you actually vision. Dunya will give you vision, will give you lots of insights. So, are you going to look at something and remain focused on it, or you want to use it as an object to look other things better? So, when it comes to the concept of kulli, sometimes we only consider the concept, not individuals. And sometimes we use the concept what we want to look at the individuals. Let me give you two examples. For each of them, one example. When I say al-insanu naw'un, al-insanu naw'un, human being is a no. You remember we had 5 types of kulliyat, yeah? Kulliyat khams. One was no. And no is when you refer to the whole reality of something, the whole essence. Al-insan naw'un. Which insan is no? Me and you? No. The concept of insan is no, which is in mind. Yeah? We are not no, we are instances. Or when say al-haywanu jinsun. Haywan is jins, animal is a genus. This is the kulli of haywan, which is in the mind. Okay? So when philosophers talk about concepts, normally, or logicians, normally they talk about concept as such. But if we say human beings eat, drink, walk, die, which human beings? The concept of human being or individual human beings? Kulliyul insan is not eating or drinking or dying. You understand? You know, for you, these things may look, not important. So, why, we are talking about these issues. But these are very important issues because these are the ways that you can train your mind to function and reason properly. If you are not familiar with these differences, then when you speak or you argue, you mix them up. We are making our mind familiar with subtle differences so that you are very familiar with the way you use these concepts for arguments or if you study other people's arguments. So, I repeat, the subject of preposition is either juz'i or kulli. Juz'i means one person, one case, one instance, like Allama Tabatabai, like city of Rome, one. Or it is kulli. When it is kulli, it's either kulli by itself, important for you. You are looking at the kulli, focusing on the kulli, concentrating on the kulli as a concept, like al-insanu nu'un, al-haywanu jinsun. Or you are using kulli, but you want to reach its instances. Say, human beings die, human beings eat, drink, and so on and so forth. So there are 2 types. The first type is called al-qadiyyatu tabi'iyya. Al-qadiyyatu tabi'iyya. Tabi'i means natural. But the reason they call it tabi'i, because it's talking about kulliyya tabi'i. It's talking about a concept which is universal as such. Okay? Al-qadiyyatu tabi'iyya. Then, if it is about individuals, it can be divided further. Either the quantity of subject is mentioned or it is not mentioned. Sometimes they say all A is B. Sometimes they say some of A is B. Sometimes they keep silent. They don't say all or some. They don't say anything about the quantity. If a proposition is coming with a subject which is kulli, and instances are meant, but the quantity is not mentioned, it is called al-qadiyatul muhmala. It's muhmala, it's ambiguous, it's vague, because it hasn't mentioned. For example, someone says, human beings are writers. All of them, some of them, he doesn't say anything. It says human beings are writers. This is called قضية مهملة. In sciences, this type of qadaya is not used because a scientist, a scholar should speak with measure. You cannot just say human beings write. How many? All, some. You have to say something. So, if the quantity is not mentioned, it is called muhmala. If the quantity is mentioned, it is called mahsura. Mahsura means it has borders, means it has become, clearly defined. Mahsura. Hasr means to exclude. Mahsura means there is a border. Like you make a wall around your home. So you are protecting your home. Al-qadiyatul mahsura is when you mention the quantity, so it is protected. It's not vague. Either you say all or you say some, but you mention the quantity. So, al-qadiyya is either shakhsi or it's for kulli, which by itself is tabi'i, or muhmala, or mahsura. Mahsura can be kulli or juz'i. If you say all, they call it kulli. If you say some, they call it juz'i. Again, it can be mujabe or salabe, as we had before. Therefore, question: how many types of mahsura we can have? 4. Mahsura can be 4 because mahsura, mujabe or salibe, and also kulliya or juz'iyya. So we'll have 4. Al-mujabatul kulliyya, al-mujabatul juz'iyya, as-salibatul kulliyya, as-salibatul juz'iyya. Alif is there, like A is B. This alif should be a particular thing. Like we say, Allama Tabatabai is the author of Mizan, or Rome is an ancient city. This type of qadaya, as I said, are used in history, in geography, but not in most of the sciences. In empirical sciences, in intellectual sciences, we don't deal with this qadaya because these are very specific. If it is not shakhsiyya, then if it is not shakhsiyya, means the subject is kulli. It's divided into 2 types. Sometimes the subject is kulli bima huwa kulli. Is a universal concept as such. You look at the kulli, as a concept. Okay? In other words, kulli is ma fihe yunzar. You look at the kulli itself. Like you say, al-insanu naw'un. Insan is kulli, and here we are concerned about the concept of insan, which can only be found in our mind. We are not talking about Zayd, Amr, Bakr. We are talking about kulli. But sometimes we look at kulli bima lahu afrad. We look at kulli as it has instances. Our concern is those instances, those cases of kulli. Like when we say al-insan yamshi. Human beings walk, human beings eat. So our concern is about not the concept of insan, which is kulli. We use the concept, but in order to reach individuals. Okay? This is called al-qadiyatu tabi'iyya. At-tabi'iyya. Because you are talking about the nature, about the essence of kulli. But this can be further divided and then takes different names. When you are talking about kulli, but your main purpose is it's individuals, then a big question comes about which individuals, which instances, all of them or some of them, or it is ambiguous. If it is ambiguous, it's called al-qadiyatul muhmala. Al-qadiyatul muhmala. Like what? You just say al-insan ya'kul. Human beings eat. You don't say all or some. This is muhmala. Means it's not clearly, specifically defined. It's vague. If you mention the quantity, it is called al-qadiyatul mahsura. Al-mahsura. Like kullu insanin ya'kul. Or ba'dul insane yaktub. All human beings eat, or some human beings write. This is called al-qadiyatul mahsura. Okay? Because it has an indicator of quantity. Al-qadiyatul mahsura by itself can be divided into 4 types. Maybe I write it here so that you can have. So, al-qadaya or al-qadiyya al-mahsura, it's either saliba or mujaba. If it is saliba, it's either kulliyya or juz'iyya. Mujaba also kulliyya or juz'iyya. So you have as-salibatul kulliyya, as-salibatul juz'iyya, al-mujabatul kulliyya, al-mujabatul juz'iyya. So whenever you hear al-mahsuratul arba'a, they mean these 4. Al-mahsuratul kulliyya or juz'iyya, and each of them mujaba or saliba. So, now let's find examples for them. Al-mujabatul kulliyya. Like what? Kullu insanin haywan. Kullu insanin haywan. This is mujaba kulli. Kullu insanin. All human beings are animals. Because insan is haywan and atiq. So kullu insanin haywan. Al-mujabatul juz'iyya. Ba'dul haywan insan. Some animals are human beings. Some are not. Horse is animal, is not human being. Yeah? So, بعض الحيوان إنسان. Is it correct or not? Yes. Well. صالبية كلية. ليس شيء من الإنسان بحجر. No human being is a stone. No human being is horse. This is salibatul kulliya. Ba'zul haywan laysa bi insan. This is salibiyya juz'iyya. Ba'zul haywan laysa bi insan. So you learned all the four types. Mujibatul kulliya, mujibatul juz'iyya, salibatul kulliya, salibatul juz'iyya. Yes.
Is there a quantification for the all or the sum?
Pardon?
Is there a quantification of the all or the sum? If it's all, it's 100%. If it's 99.5, then it becomes sum.
Anything less than 100% is sum. Sum can be 1, can be 99. Actually, you have to remember, when you say sum, even if it is 100%, still sum is true. But it's not meant. Yeah? For example, if I say بعض الإنسان حيوان, this is not wrong. When I say some human beings are animals, it's not wrong. Because we say إثبات الشيء لا ينفي ما عداه. We are saying some of them are animals. We didn't say the rest are not animals. Okay? So in logic, when you confirm something for some instances, it doesn't mean that the rest are not. If I say some human beings are animals and some are not animals, this is wrong. But if I say some are animal, means with respect to the rest I am silent. Maybe I am still inquiring, maybe I am investigating, maybe I don't want to touch the rest. Yeah? So, when you say some, it doesn't mean that it has to exclude. Means we are concerned this much. I am talking this much. Okay? So, al-mujiba kulliya or juz'iyya, saliba kulliya or juz'iyya. These are called al-mahsuratul arba'. There are 4 types of mahsura. So what is qadiyya mahsura? Is the proposition that the concept of a kulli is subject. We are concerned about its instances and we have identified the quantity. Okay? This kull or ba'd that explain the quantity has a name. Do you know what's the name? They say sur. Sur. Sur al-qadiyya with sin, not sad. Sur al-qadiyya means the term that identifies the quantity. So when you say kul or ba'd is identifier. And sometimes can be the structure. For example, I say ليس الإنسان بحجر أو ليس شيء من الإنسان بحجر. There is no kul or juz. But you know nakare in siyaq al-nafy tufidul umum. When you say in a negative sentence, when there is a negative sentence, and then you bring a noun, this shows generality. When you say ليس شيء من الإنسان بحجر, means none of human beings are a stone. You don't need to say all. This by itself shows that it is general. When you say none of them is this, it shows generality. Okay. There is another classification which Ayatollah Mutahari mentions only, but he says you can find it in more detailed books. As you know, we are just in the elementary level. This is introduction to logic, and inshallah we will have after this an intermediate course. So here he doesn't mention that much, but he just mentions the name. Maybe I also mention the name so that it is there in your mind, that you have a kind of history with it. Sometimes preposition is divided into ma'dula and muhassala. Ma'dula and muhassala. I give you example. I don't explain it further because it's not for this stage. But just to remain in your mind, inshallah. Al-qadiyatul ma'dula is when the predicate has a negational element. For example, you say هذا الرجل غير عالم. This man is a non-scholar. If you say this man is not a scholar, this is salebe. But if you say he is a non-scholar, so instead of making salebe, you can put negation inside the predicate. Like you say, he is an unhuman, instead of saying he is not a human. Okay? This is called ma'dula. Ma'dula means negation is inserted inside the subject or predicate. But muhassala means it's free from negation. The subject or predicate has no. You understand? So you can have mujibah, but also ma'dula. So qaziyah is mujibah. A is B. But B is non-C. Not Nancy. Non-C. Okay? So, just keep it in your mind for future, inshallah. The next division is, again, we just mentioned this, but we leave it for future. It's very useful, especially in philosophy, this next one. Sometimes, in addition to the subject and predicate and the indicator of kul or juz, mujibeh or salibeh, we have modality for preposition. Modality, jahatul qadiyya. For example, we say something has this quality بالضرورة. For example, Allah mawjudun, Zaydun mawjudun. But there's a big difference. Allah mawjudun بالضرورة. Zaydun mawjudun بالإمكان. One is necessary, one is contingent. Okay? So, if you speak very generally, without deep philosophical understanding, you say Allah mawjudun, Zayd mawjudun. But if you look at it carefully, there's a big difference. Allah mawjudun and existence is necessary for him. بالضرورة. But Zayd mawjudun, but wujud is not necessary. Zayd can be existent and can also stop being existent. So bil imkan. So this bil darura, this bil imkan, or bil imtina, sometimes bil imtina, sharikul bari, غير موجود بالضرورة or موجود بالامتناع. A partner for God necessarily cannot exist or impossibly exist. Okay? Impossibly exists or necessarily does not exist. These are called modalities. Jahatul qadiyya. Jahat is different from quantity. It's different from salib mujib. Yeah? It's about the nature of relation between subject and predicate, whether it is zaruri, whether it is mumkin, whether it is mumtana, and then each of them has different also subdivisions. Wajib bil-zat, wajib bil-ghayr, wajib bil-qiyas ila al-ghayr. All these things. Okay? So prepare yourself, inshallah, for the next course, because inshallah we are going to have serious discussions. Okay? Eat properly, do exercises, study properly. Inshallah we have serious discussions to come. Right now we are just warming up. Just we are introducing the concepts. Okay. Then we have another lesson. It's called Ahkamul Qadaya. Ahkamul Qadaya. You remember when we had discussion about the relation between two concepts? How many relations can be between two concepts? 4. And Nesabul Arba. There are 4 relations. What are those 4? At-Tasawi, At-Tabayun, Al-Umum wal-Khusus al-Mutlaq, Al-Umum wal-Khusus min wajh. Sometimes we say they completely cover each other, they are equal, Tasawi. Yeah? Like Insan and Haywan and Atiq, they are mutasawi. Sometimes they are totally separate, like Insan and Hajar, separate. Sometimes one of them is bigger, includes the other one and has extra, like Haywan and Insan. This is called Al-Umum wal-Khusus al-Mutlaq. And sometimes they overlap, like Al-Insan and, for example, tall. Some human beings are tall and some are not tall, and some things which are tall are human beings and some are not human beings. We have animals which are also tall, we have buildings which are tall. Okay? So, 2 concepts, we said there can be 4 relations between them. Remember? Now, we want to see the relations between prepositions. But logicians are not concerned that much about all prepositions. Because if you want to discuss about all prepositions would be too much. The prepositions whose subject and predicate are the same. What? The prepositions whose subject and predicate are the same are divided into 4 parts. There are 4 types of prepositions whose subject and predicate are the same. Okay? So like Nasab Arba'i between 2 concepts, here also we have 4 types, but these are not for all prepositions. Only the prepositions that have the same subject and predicate. So it means they are hamliyah, and also not any hamliyah. Those hamliyah that subject and predicate are the same. Okay. Please listen very carefully. Okay? Very carefully, because it might be a bit difficult. Sometimes the relation between 2 prepositions whose subject and predicate are the same is what we call at-tanaqud. There is contradiction. They are contradictory. And there is contradiction between them. And this is when they have different kam and different kaif. Means, with respect to being mujabe or kulliye, they are different, and with respect to being mujabe or salibe are also different. For example, mujabe kulliye and salibe juz'iyye. They contradict each other. If you even you refer it to your mind, you will find it. You know, for example, if I say kullu insanin haywan, what's a statement, what proposition can contradict this? If I say kullu insanin haywan, what can contradict this? No, this is not contradiction. Both are correct. كل إنسان حيوان بعض الإنسان حيوان. There is no contradiction. No. Subject and predicate are the same. If I say كل إنسان حيوان and then I say بعض الإنسان ليس بحيوان, this is contradiction. If I say كل إنسان حيوان and then I say بعض الإنسان ليس بحيوان, all human beings are animals, and then I say some of human beings are not animal, this is contradiction. What does it mean they contradict? It means that if one of them is true, the other one is false. And if one of them is false, the other one is true. Please remember, two contradictory propositions cannot be both true or both false. If one is truth, with truth is true, one is false. If one is false, the other is true. Always from truth of one you understand the falsehood of the other, or vice versa. Is it clear? So, in order to have tanaqud, what should we have? Al-ikhtilaf fil-kam wal-kayf. One has to be mujibe, the other one has to be salibe, and also one has to be juz'i, one has to be kulli. If I say kullu insanin haywan and ba'zul insan laysa bihaywan, this is contradiction. Also, if I say ba'zul haywan insan and laysa shay'un min al-haywan bil-insan, again, this is contradiction. If I say some animals are human beings, and then I say none of animals are human beings, this is contradiction. So please remember, the naqiz for al-mujibatul kulliyya is what? As-salibatul juz'iyya. And the naqiz for as-salibatul kulliyya is al-mujibatul juz'iyya. This is very important. I don't know why you are not excited. This is very important. Because many times people make mistakes. You know, when they make reasoning and arguments, from one they shift to the other without knowing these relations. Okay? So, the first is at-tanaquz. Yes.
If you say all human beings are animals, and then you say no human beings are animals,
Yes.
that's not right. No.
Yeah. Here, there is problem, but you are not in need of going that further so that they cannot be together.
Okay.
And the result of this is when you say kullu insan haywan, and there is no insan who is haywan, so they cannot be both true. But because you have gone that further, then there is something in middle that can be true. So from truth of someone you understand the falsehood, but from the falsehood you don't understand the truth because there can be something in between.
I'm not sure whether to pretend I understood.
You know, for example, if someone says, كل حيوان إنسان and ليس شيء من الحيوان بإنسان, both of them are wrong.
Oh, so one has to be.
So it's not متناقض, because in متناقض one has to be true if the other is false. So if you make both of them كلي, then there is a chance that both of them are false. Okay? So متناقض or contradictory is when you have two propositions, the subject predicate are the same, but they have difference in both kam and kayf. We mean by kam kulli juz'i, by kayf mujibe salib. So it is mujibe kulliye and salibiye juz'iye, or salibiye kulliye mujibe juz'iye. Okay? The next. Sometimes it is not tanaqud, it is tawad. They are opposite. They are opposite. They are not contradictory, they are opposite to each other. Tawad. And that is when they are both kulli, like the question that we had right now. Both kulli, but one mujibe and the other one is salibe. For example, كل إنسان متعجب. Every human being gets surprised. Because as we said, animals apparently don't get surprised. Maybe except when they look at us. But normally they don't get surprised. Okay. Because to be surprised means you have to have an anticipation of future. They don't have anticipation of future. Okay. So, كل إنسان متعجب. All human beings are surprised. Means they get surprised. They have the potential of being surprised. And no human being gets surprised. So they are both كلية. But one of them is mujibah, one of them is salibah. So, these are called mutawad. They are opposite to each other, but they are not contradictory. Do you know why they are opposite? Because they cannot both be true. Can both be true? No. When you say كل إنسان متعجب ليس إنسان متعجب, they cannot be both true. But they can both be false. Yes? And that is if some have this quality. If some have this quality, to say all of them have this quality is a problem, and you say none of them have this is also a problem. So this is called tawad. So in tawad, if one is true, the other is false. But from falsehood, you cannot say the other is true.
Again and slowly, please.
Pardon?
The last one. Again and slowly, please.
So, if there is tazad, there is opposition, it means they cannot both be true. But it's possible that both are false. So from truth of one, you understand the other is false. But from falsehood, you cannot say definitely the other one is true. If someone, you have to be careful. Sometimes, for example, in the middle of discussion, someone says, all people are not like this. And you say, yes. Then he says, so all of them are like this. Say, no, we said all are not like this, but maybe some are like this, not all of them. So you cannot jump from salibiyya kulliyya to mujabiyya kulliyya. From salibiyya kulliyya, you can go only to mujabiyya juz'iyya. Okay? So this is called tawad. So they are both kulli, but one is mujabe, one is salibe. The third relation, داخلان تحت التضاد. داخلان تحت التضاد. There are two propositions which are under opposition, not in opposition, under opposition. What does it mean? It means that they are both juz'i. For example, بعض الإنسان متعجب بعض الإنسان ليس بمتعجب. تضاد was كل إنسان متعجب ليس شيء من الإنسان. Both were kulli. But here both are juz'i. So this kulli under it is juz'i, this kulli under it is juz'i. This is why they call it داخلان تحت التضاد. Okay? It's just a name they created to make this, it doesn't make any special sense. داخلان تحت التضاد means they fall under those two, but they are separate, they are independent. So, if they are both kulli, but different in kayf, we call them mutadad. If they are both juz'i and different in kayf, we call them dakhilan tahta al-tadad. Now, I want you to use your brain and answer. Okay? If I say, some A is B, and some A is not B, from truth of one of them, can you understand the truth of the other one? No. From truth of one, can you understand the falsehood of the other one? No. From falsehood of one, can you understand the truth of other one? Yes. Because if this mujibe juziyye or salabi juziyye is not true, then you can understand the other one is true. If some A is B is wrong, then definitely some A is not B is right. Okay? So, from truth of one, you cannot understand the other one is true. Even you cannot understand the other one is false. But from falsehood of each of them, you understand the other one is true. Okay? In other words, they cannot be both false, but they can both be true. Is it clear? Like some animals are human beings, some animals are not human beings. It's okay. Both of them are true. And finally, the fourth is tadakhul. Tadakhul means they overlap. And that is when there is similarity in kayf, means they are both mujabe or both salabe, but they have difference in kam, in quantity. For example, كل إنسان متعجب وبعض الإنسان متعجب. كل إنسان متعجب وبعض الإنسان متعجب. So, they can both be true, but they cannot both be wrong, or they can be both wrong. What's the question? Answer. Both can be also wrong. Like for example, I say, كل إنسان حجر is wrong, بعض الإنسان حجر is also wrong. So both can be true, like كل إنسان حيوان وبعض الإنسان حيوان. Both can be wrong, like كل إنسان حجر or بعض الإنسان حجر. Okay?
But if one is true, the other must be true as well.
If one is true, depending which one is true. If kulli is true, juz'i is also true. But if juz'i is true, kulli is not necessarily true. Okay? Therefore, they only say when kulli is true, juz'i is true, not vice versa. You understand? Because when kullu A is B, definitely some A is B is also true. But if some A is B true, you cannot say definitely kullu A is B true. Like ba'zul haywana insan, but you cannot say kullu haywana insan. So sometimes it can be that both of them are true, but sometimes only the juz'i is true. Yes, if kulli is true, juz'i is true. But if juz'i is true, kulli may not be true. Okay? So there are 4 types of relations between prepositions which have the same subject and the same predicate. They can be mutanaqid, and that is when they are completely different. One is salibe, the other is mujibe, one is kulliyya, the other is juz'iyya. Salibiyya kulliyya and mujibiyya juz'iyya. Or mujibiyya kulliyya, salibiyya juz'iyya. Yeah? This is mutanaqid. With respect to mutanaqid,
Shouldn't both of them positive or
No,
negative?
no.
Should be one negative?
one negative, one positive, one kulli, one juz'i. There can be 2 only options. Salibiyya kulliyya, mujibiyya juz'iyya, or mujibiyya kulliyya, salibiyya juz'iyya. Yes? You can take this air with you, you know. Okay. The beauty of mutanaqizain is it's very straightforward. If one is true, the other is false. Or if one is false, the other is... So if you establish truth or falsehood of each of them, you definitely know that the other is opposite. Is it clear? If one of them is true, the other is false. If one is false, the other is true. So either you prove one or you disprove one. You can understand what's the situation with the rest. Then we have al-mutadaddan. Al-mutadaddan are both kulli. They are on the top. But one is mujabe, one is salibe. So mujabiyya kulliyya, salibiyya kulliyya. Certainly, they cannot both be true. So if one is true, the other is false. But they can both be false. You know, when you have mujabiyya kulliyya and salibiyya kulliyya, they cannot both be true. But they can both be false. Because maybe some of them have this quality, not all of them. For example, if you say kullu haywanan insan is a problem. If you say laysa shay'un min al-haywan bi insan is also a problem. Both of them are wrong. Okay? So in mutadaddan, if one is true, the other is false. But if one is false, maybe the other one is not true. Then we have داخلان تحت التضاد. This was موجبي كلية صالبي كلية. Now موجبي جزئية صالبي جزئية. When you have موجبي جزئية صالبي جزئية, they can both be true. But they cannot both be false. So if one is false, the other one is true. But if one is true, the other one may be true or false. Okay? And then you have mutadakhilan, means each of them and the one below. Salabi kulliyah, salabi juz'iyah. Mujabi kulliyah, mujabi juz'iyah. Okay? So tanaquz is like this. Tanaquz. Tazad is this. Dakhilan tahta tazad is this. Mutadakhilan is like this. So this is also the sign language you can use. So if there is mujabiyya kulli and mujabiyya juz'i, or salabiyya kulli, salabiyya juz'i, this is called mutadakhilan. What is the relation between them? If kulli is true, juz'i is true, definitely. But if juz'i is true, kulli may not be true. Maybe true, maybe not true, we don't know. Yeah? And if juz'i is false, definitely kulli is false. But you cannot say if kulli is false, juz'i is false. These are very rational. These are not things to memorize. These are things that you have to learn. Okay? Please study, do mubahisa. If you have any question, then study and do mubahisa again. You don't need to ask me because it's very obvious. Okay. So, inshallah, we continue next week. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.